I'd like to say two things.
Yeah,
Number one, it's a platform, right?
yeah,
And Donald Trump had like what, 80 million followers on Twitter,
yeah, yeah. 88
and
million, I think.
today they raised all 80 million, right? But the thing is that it was able to reach out to 80 million people because of the algorithm Twitter put
Yeah,
together, right? It's
true,
not
true.
Donald Trump followers; it's Twitter platform that allowed him to connect with 80 million people, right? Second,
Mm-hmm.
in the same vein, so that's my sub point, is that he signed an agreement, right, with Twitter,
Yeah,
and
when you
say, I
sign
will
in,
do this, and I will do that, and I will not do this, and I will not do that.
I will respect the terms of service.
Terms of service. And with Twitter, it's simple. They just press a button, and every million is gone,
Yeah,
right? If you don't play by the rules, you're at the door. Make your own stuff. Now, he wanted to join Parlay, and Google say, hey, not on my platform. So the second point is that you should also be careful looking at a platform as a reality,
yeah,
because as a user, if I go to Facebook and put all my pictures over there and think that they will last forever, I might just be waking up one day for a rude awakening. Right?
yeah,
It's still a platform, and it's my fault if I think that it's my primary repository for my relationship and my photos and all that stuff. And if today Facebook decide to ban me, I will lose a lot in terms of
yeah, yeah.
relationship, friends, and love of photos. But that would be my fault if I did not remember that it's just a platform in which I was invited or allowed to play, right? So that's something that respond to me. Before we join the platform, we also have to remember, hey, this is not something that control. I will not be able to protect everything that I create there, and that should guide how you invest yourself in that platform. So they can erase. I mean, they can ban you from owning an Apple phone, right? Terms of references, you could probably, if you identified as a bad players, you could be banned if
Right.
that's doable. And all the apps that you rely on Apple, you might not be able to get access to it being you, all right? But you know, you're not an extension of Apple. You have decided to invest yourself within that ecosystem.
Yeah,
And that's something we should not forget. They don't make the world unless we let them do that, right? So if we put all our reality on Twitter, we put all our reality on Instagram, then yes, you become almost a slave of the system, right? But you
but
know,
that's exactly what's happening. It's exactly what happening to a lot of. I think the difference is age.
mm,
I'm 46, almost 47. I've lived half of my life without a phone in my pocket.
mm.
I know what it is to be bored out of existence. I know what it is to be in Kinshasa with nothing to do and the electricity goes out. And now you're waiting for the group to do and I know what it is. And
Yeah.
and I know what it is to send a letter to your girlfriend who's in Paris or somewhere else, and it takes 2 weeks to arrive to her, and it takes another 2 weeks to receive the answer. And so many things can happen between these months.
In between,
She can, by the time she receives your second answer, she already changed boyfriend, and you don't even know yet. And you hear like, tu me manques vraiment, vraiment. It, this generation, they live through the platforms. They get their validations through the likes. They get their friendships through the platform. Some of them, they even make money, their livelihood through the platform. They are on OnlyFans or whatever, or they are an influencer. Like people pay my wife to post photo with their a bag with something like. So that generation, this is they live inside of that reality. This is their reality. We know how to push back and to get out of that reality and live the real reality, because yeah, we have the people we know them from the real life. Some people only know virtual people. And so for a lot of these people, removing somebody's voice from that platform, it is equal to removing their freedom of speech, because they believe that the world is the platform. Some people, like I have a guy who was telling me on the he was telling me on Instagram that they just removed his Twitter, like remove him from Twitter because I don't know what he was talking about, something religious, some temple or whatever. And somebody, yeah, somebody said somebody reported his tweets, and yeah, he got his account removed, and he's like, I don't know what to do, like, you know, he's like, what am I gonna do now? And I'm like, yeah, you know, live your life, like, take some time off this and read a book, watch TV, like, you see what I mean? And I can understand the different realities of people, but when I debate with people about that, I realize that some people really don't see this world the way I see it. Some people don't even understand the legality of what is freedom of speech in the US, because the same freedom of speech is not the same in Kinshasa, it's not the same in Mogadishu, and it's not the same in Paris, and it's not the same in Portugal. The difference is it's different between the constitution of all countries. And some people come with their emotional view of what it is, because they think, oh, if they remove me, like, my life is over. And they don't realize that, and they're like, yeah, but he's a president, he's a sitting president, you cannot remove a president from a platform. But then you're like, yeah, he's a president who just incited a riot that turned into an insurrection, a sedition, and made people commit treason to their country. And he's now putting an embarrassment to the United States of America, to the rest of the country. Listen, Putin is like this with his popcorn. He look at these niggas. Putin, Xi Jinping is like, so let's talk about Hong Kong now. You see what I mean? Like, every dictator, every person who's been in power forever, Paul Biya is like, like,
but the truth is exactly there, right? All the messages, the appointments, and all that stuff were organized on the platform. And you have Twitter paying for electricity on their server, right? You have the Twitter engineer making sure the server are up, right?
Yeah.
So they are all sustaining the system that is responsible for destroying the country, right?
And making money.
And you know, at some point they will look at their own term of reference and say, we didn't sign up for that, and this person didn't sign up for that. So I would say in some of those cases, we should be shocked that certain behavior have taken such a long time before they led to a termination. It's not that big. You know, I'll tell you the truth. If it was Barack Obama that did half of the things that Trump is doing, right? God. You know, honestly, just think about it, right?
Back in Kenya.
But for Trump, people are even saying, you know, one of the things that I heard is he was calling governors in Georgia to change the election numbers.
That was crazy.
He refused to accept that his loss, right? He's calling governors to change the results. He's bringing his people to stop the process of certifying the election. So it's a continuum, right? If you look at that, it's been weeks and he says I didn't lose. And he actually brought people who actually went inside of the House of Congress, and they effectively stopped the process.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
In
yeah.
fact, I heard one of the senators that said that we were very lucky that the staffer thought about taking the boxes in which you had those because if they had forgotten that, that guy with the horns would have
Yeah,
taken it.
exactly.
And at that point, the constitutional process, even if it looks like a tradition, would have
Yeah,
been into a crisis that has never been seen.
exactly.
And when did those people organize? Twitter, Facebook, and it was streamed live for
Yeah,
us to see. So you sit down and you think about it.
it's
It's a very
dangerous,
difficult conversation, huh?
and it is dangerous. Like when you
Dangerous,
think
yeah.
about that, like some people, and I believe that the reason why Trump did the second speech, not the first, like, isn't the first, the first speech? Go home. We love you. You are very special.
Yeah.
Actually, was reading from some script, and it didn't sound
And then,
natural.
and then after, after, like the second speech, you can see that somebody wrote it for him.
Yeah.
You can see that they were like, listen, if you don't say this, you're going to jail. So listen, don't go off script. Read exactly what I wrote. If you don't want you and your children going to jail, you better read this exactly. Yeah, tell your people, tell your little army that they are despicable people, da 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 da. You are not a true American. You deserve to go to etc. etc. Because trust me, if you don't say this, I don't know how I'm gonna prevent them from coming for you soon as you're not a president. You're not gonna be able to pardon yourself. You're not gonna be able to do like Nixon and resign 2 days before and ask Pence to pardon you because you sent your people where Pence was inside and Pence is pissed. So read this because now you are really on a you are really on the verge of being going to prison. So you know it
I
is.
got, I got, I got a question for you, Kesha. Imagine, or to anyone, imagine that instead of having 300 million people, the US had 1 billion people, like in China, right? It, with the same rule of freedom, do you think China would be able to resist or to sustain itself if people were just as free? With the same number of people that they have in China, imagine we had 1 billion people here, right? You now realize that sometimes the system that they sell us to, the system that we have to live into, right, is tailored according to one given culture, right?
Of
When
course.
you go into a different country and you deal with different realities, on paper we might just say, hey, you guys have to do the same thing the same way. The truth is that if China is not able to maintain peace for 1 billion people, nobody would be able to sustain anything that would have to be coming out of there, right? And you put now technology where you have one rule for this place and this other place. You start getting situations where we now have to contend with the fact that you don't have anybody that can teach anyone what to do. And this, unfortunately, before it was masked by diplomacy and stuff like that. But right now, because people are going on Twitter, they're exposing their flaws